Prince Edward and Sophie, Duchess of Edinburgh, are often revered as two of the most hard-working royals, but how did their royal life begin? Express. Co.uk takes a look at how Edward and Sophie met, their long careers and why the public love them so much. Prince Edward and Sophie have newly been styled the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh, taking over the title from Edward's late father Prince Philip. The couple have been spotted more frequently attending engagements in the past few years after Queen Elizabeth II's failing health saw her take a step back. Now the couple will be preparing for one of the biggest events in royal history, King Charles's coronation. Express.co.uk takes a look at the couple's life together, achievements and the touching family moments for which they are so well known. How did they meet? Prince Edward and Sophie, Duchess of Edinburgh, have been married for nearly 24 years and met when they were in their early 20s. Their story is an unexpected one, as Edward was at first dating Sophie's friend when they met in 1987, while then Sophie Rhys-Jones was working at Capital Radio. Six years later they met again at the Edwards event, the Real Tennis Challenge, for which Sophie was handing publicity. They bonded over their love of sports, arts and spending time outdoors, and it wasn't long before they were dating. Their first date was said to be a tennis match and dinner at Buckingham Palace, and the relationship blossomed. Towards the end of 1993, Edward took a novel approach to the publicity Sophie had been getting by addressing the press directly. In a move Prince Harry later echoed, "Edward Said, I am taking this unusual step of writing to you directly in the hopes of stopping your reporters and photographers from destroying that part of my life that I am entitled to regard as private and, more importantly, Sophie's life." Marriage. After several years of dating, the public and press alike began to wonder when the couple would announce their engagement, particularly as Sophie was seen attending more and more engagements. The questioning reached a fever pitch, so much so that Edward reportedly snapped at a reporter from the Radio Times saying, "If you shut up, mind your own business and let me do it when I want, it's much more likely to happen." Some thought the failure of his siblings' marriages was putting Edward off proposing. However, he went on to propose in 1998 and said, "It's impossible to understand why it has taken me this long, but I don't think it would have been right before, and I don't think she would have said yes." The couple were married on June 19, 1999, in front of 500 guests at St. George Chapel in Windsor. By royal standards, the wedding was fairly low-key. There was no ceremonial state or military involvement. The service took place at 5 p.m., and Sophie said women did not need to wear hats. Sophie wore a dress designed by Samantha Keswick which featured 325,000 crystals and pearls, and wore the Anthemian tiara from the Queen's private jewelry collection. The couple's relationship has been a constant for royal fans, something which Sophie puts down to their great friendship. She said during their engagement interview in 1998, "I think we share a number of interests, we laugh a lot and we have a great friendship." Edward agreed, saying, "We are the very best of friends and that's essential, but it also helps that we also love each other very much." Titles. Upon their marriage, many believed the couple would become Duke and Duchess of Sussex or Cambridge, but Edward requested he be created the Earl of Wessex, making Sophie Countess of Wessex. Edward was said to be drawn to the Earl title after watching the 1998 film Shakespeare in Love. They were the Wessexes from 1999 to 2023, when the death of Prince Philip and the accession of King Charles saw several title changes. Edward and Sophie are now known as the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh and in Scotland the Earl and Countess of Forfar. The couple also hold several patronages, including the Duke of Edinburgh Award, London Youth, the National Youth Theatre, the British Paralympic Association, Well-Being of Women, Women Peace and Security and the Agency for the Prevention of Blindness. You can see a full list of the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh's patronages on the royal website. Click here for Edward's, and here for Sophie's, succession. At his birth and until the birth of his nephew Prince William, Edward was third in line to the throne behind then Prince Charles and Prince Andrew. Since then, both King Charles' sons and their families and Prince Andrew's daughters and their families have taken precedence ahead of Edward. The current line of succession sees Edward in 13th, behind the Waleses, Sussexes, the Duke of York, Princess Beatrice and her daughter and Princess Eugenie and her son. Children. Prince Edward and Sophie have two children, Lady Louise Mountbatten-Windsor, 19, and James Mountbatten-Windsor, 15. James was styled as Viscount Severn for the majority of his life until recent title shuffles meant he took over the Earl of Wessex title from his father. Both Louise and James are styled as the children of an earl, not as prince or princess. In 2020, Sophie said their children had kept their royal titles and styles and could choose to use them if they wished when they turned 18. Sophie said, "We try to bring them up with the understanding they are very likely to have to work for a living. Hence we made the decision not to use HRH titles. They have them and can decide to use them from 18, but I think it's highly unlikely." Quote,